think I'm going to start with you with this question. Because you come at this, I think, with a little bit different perspective than a lot of people that are talking about employee engagement and culture. So what is it that you think that most leaders misunderstand most fundamentally about what it takes to create an engaging work experience for employees?
Yeah, so for starters, I think what most leaders miss is that humans are emotional beings. 90% of our decisions, of our behaviors are dominated by our emotional brain. So once leadership can say, we're dealing with emotional beings. Right. Then, and they get over no emotions in the workplace. Right. They get over that. Right. Then they can say, what emotional experience are they asking us for? If we can match it, then we can enable them to perform at their highest level. Sure. So what I think one of the biggest issues is for leadership is first understanding that we're emotional beings, and then actually realizing, you know what? We have to gauge what a person's emotional experience is in the workplace, because it's directly affecting their morale, their engagement, their performance, their collaboration, their teamwork, their decision making, their problem solving, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Got it. So, and this is the problem that you fundamentally help them solve. So talk us through, what does that look like? How do you equip a leader to do that, to be in that space, to first, once they recognize that these are emotional beings,
yep.
Then what? What do I do as a leader if I want to step into that?
Yes, so then we have to look at, okay, there are two key high-level states of the brain at work. We're either in our, what we call critter state, to try to make it a little bit more fun, like a little animal, fight, flight, freeze, sure. Safe or not, dead or not. And that's when we are in reptilian mammalian brain, amygdala hijack, limbic system override. So we're either in fight, flight, freeze, which we call critter state, which is really prevalent, right. Because the leaders aren't noticing, bad emotional experience, let's guide the people out, or we're in smart state, where all three parts of the brain are firing and we're getting innovation and productivity and collaboration and clear communication. So first of all, how much panic and fear is in our culture that we helped create? How did we help create it? And then how much smart state? So first, getting to that fundamental level. Are people looking at the problem, or are people focusing on the possible outcomes? Right. Chances are looking at the problem. So then we need to give them some tools to start shifting their focus from blame to what outcome they want. And that's where we start to use our neuroscience-based tools, like the outcome frame. Hey, well, what would you like? What will having that do for you? How will you know when you have it? What value might you risk or lose? What are your next steps? We start to focus the brain get the brain into the smart state where all the performance that we want occurs. Now, here's what's cool. We're pretty geeky about this, because I was an engineer at Microsoft and Apple, and I like to measure stuff. And what we find is that when people use these tools that we teach, within 6 months of using the tools regularly, we get 35 to 50% more productivity from human beings. Wow. We don't need to hire more in today's talent war. We need to get our people in their smart state.
Sure.
67 to 100% more engaged. Leaders, one of my favorite stats, get 5 to 15 more hours per week to work on strategic work. They're not having to give orders because they created order takers, right? Order giver, order taker dynamic.
Sure.
So once people start to realize the profound ROI on accommodating or meeting the emotional state, then they can go, okay, so does the person crave safety? Is that why they're in critter state? Or belonging? They're not feeling connected to others? They're not feeling part of the tribe? They're not feeling equal value? Diversity, right? They're not feeling included, they're feeling excluded. Mattering, do they feel like they're not being acknowledged and appreciated? What's missing? Safety, belonging, or mattering? Because that's what's causing the behaviors to drive them into critter state. Because at any given point, the human organism will reach for the best feeling behavior in a given scenario, or if there isn't a best feeling, the least bad. So think about performance reviews. Sure. We don't have a very broad behavioral menu during a performance review. No. Most people have like defensive, mad, or scared. Right. Here's your menu, it's very small. So we want to, as leaders, start to understand humans and the structure of human experience and use some of our neuroscience-based tools so people can have a wider menu of choices, behavioral choices, in a given work context.
So is this when you start with these interventions, we usually are talking about leadership, because if we can get the leaders to go first, that obviously helps, right? But is it something that, are these the kind of tools, do you also, if a manager picks up these tools and can start using them, does it have the same potential impact with their team?
Yes, so what we find is, in a perfect world, right? And it's not perfect out there, leadership would say, woohoo, let's honor everybody's experience. We're in, we're all in, all of us are in. None of us are cynical. And it would filter down. But meanwhile, back on earth, what we find is we have some executive leadership, and then we have some senior leadership, and then we have the in the trenches. And if we can just get people on as many levels as possible, and also sometimes it has to be grassroots. Department X has to start using it, and then give Department X about 90 days, you'll start seeing some great results from them. And people are like, oh, what's happening over in Department X? Maybe I'll use that. So we like, if there's a bunch of naysayers, hey, go departmentally, start getting great results, it'll spread.
Right, for sure. Go, prove the case. And people come on board.
I mean, we show them stats from 1,000 companies, you know, and even then,
even then,
there are naysayers.
That's such an interesting thing that has come up over and over again through both these conversations and then just conversations I've been having over the last year or so. You think like performance appraisals, for example, like we all have universally, we know that that's an awful process, and yet getting executives to agree to let go of it is really hard. So if we're thinking about, if I'm an internal change agent and I'm trying to drive towards some of this, trying to drive the change internally, what kind of advice or coaching do you have for someone in that position for how to, other than, there's the data, but to make the case to get someone to recognize the importance of understanding the emotional side of this, that we have emotional beings and we need to change. Like, what have you found to be successful? What kind of advice can you provide along that?
So we have to remember that human beings only listen to one radio station, WIIFM, what's in it for me. And so we always look at, one of the first things we do is we say to the executives, hey, so tell us what your OKRs are, what your goals are, what your needle movers are, whatever you call them, for the year. Great. Okay, and tell us what behaviors would we like to inspire in our people. Okay, cool. So if we were to show you very specific tools that helped get these behaviors that ensured that you met your goals, would you be curious about that?
Sure.
I mean, it'd have to be a knucklehead to say, no, I don't want to meet my goals. I'm just throwing them out there for no reason. Because their bonuses, are usually attached to the goals. So now we've got them listening. And we'll usually pick off one thing that we can show some quick results in. So like on our website, we have these things called quick wins, a quick employee engagement survey, a quick leadership assessment, a quick sales and marketing intensive. They get a quick win and they go, whoa, I didn't know this was possible. And then, what else you got? But they need to have that little pudding cup. They're not ready for the 5-course meal. The 5-course meal will change the world, but it's too big of a leap, right? Give them a little pudding cup. Oh, that was tasty pudding. What else do you have?
Got it. Got it.
Tie it directly to the departmental or company's goals, which is exactly how the executive gets incentivized and bonused.
All right, so last thing, time goes by fast. What's the one thing that somebody can take back and use right now to make an impact tomorrow, next week?
So if you only do one thing, please go to smarttribesinstitute.com, go to the resources section, and go to the infographics there. What you will see as you scroll down is you'll see a safety, belonging, mattering decoder, which will help you understand why you're getting certain results or not getting certain results in your company. You'll also then see the cultural game plan template infographic, which will show you how to turn that situation around. Here's the thing. We need to know across the whole organization, executive leadership, senior leadership, line management, individual contributors. We need to find out everybody, what emotional experience are they asking for most, how to then give it to them. We spell it exactly out how to give it to them, and that's how you see that 35 to 50% improvement in performance. We also see people saying, thank God it's Monday, and become profoundly loyal to the corporation, because everybody wants to be part of something bigger, but they can't be part of something bigger and make a dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs used to say, if they aren't fully present and feeling powerful and valued and respected where they are now. So once we decode the safety, belonging, mattering need, and then we use the prescriptive tools in the cultural game plan, we can start to turn that around.